being very silly.
I guess the best way I'd describe Maya is she's a fun-loving kid, great personality. She loves to laugh, loves to make people laugh.
She has a beautiful soul. She's a very, very sweet girl.
Maya's main passion is ice skating. She loves ice skating.
Come on, Maya. Push, cross. Good.
As soon as she went in the ice, that was it. She just loves it. And as she got better, we can't even get her out of the ice. She loves to be in the ice. That's her favorite thing.
She's a gold and silver medalist at regional competitions for the Special Olympics.
We just support that because it makes her feel good about herself, and just seeing her smile in the ice is worth it. So.
Spin, Maya. Oh, that was a good one.
But ice skating is definitely her thing.
She was invited to attend an exhibition in Jacksonville, so it was very cool to see her, you know, showing her ice skating skills. And a lot of people came up to her and say that they felt inspired by her, by, you know, all the determination that she has doing her ice skating, so it felt great. She's a strong little girl. I'm very proud of her.
She has Barbie dolls, regular dolls, baby dolls, American baby dolls. Has a passion for dolls like probably most young girls.
You will always find her with a Barbie or a baby in her hand or playing with her Barbie.
She brings them ice skating, brings them swimming. She loves them. She loves to dress them. She loves to, to really bring them everywhere she goes. Maya had her first seizure when she was around 6 months old.
I was breastfeeding her and I noticed her eyes going like backwards a little bit, but I was a new mom, you know, I wasn't sure if she was falling asleep. I wasn't really sure of what was happening.
You know, it wasn't a convulsion like everybody thinks about when you think about seizures. You know, it happened again, and then it happened again. She called me in the room, and we knew something was wrong. We called the doctor, and he said, "Why don't you bring her in?" So we brought her in. He checked her. She looked great, and he sent us home and said if it happens again to take her to the ER. And right when we got home, we saw it happen again, so we took her to the ER, and they kept her overnight for observation. And that night she had a seizure that lasted well over an hour. So that landed Maya in intensive care, and her lung collapsed.
It was very, very stressful for us to see her. Didn't really know, what was going on with her.
Since that time of Maya's first visit in the hospital, she's gone through, really a number of diagnoses. It went from febrile seizures to ultimately what they called intractable epilepsy. And that was when she was younger. Really based on all of the symptoms and the different behavioral problems and developmental delays and stuff that Maya's had since she was younger, really made them rethink the entire diagnosis.
After all these years trying all kind of medication and different treatments, and also 2 brain surgeries, finally we got a diagnosis.
Maya was diagnosed with Dravet syndrome at 9 years old,
which is a pretty devastating form of epilepsy.
About 80% of the patients that are diagnosed with Dravet is actually diagnosed through genetic testing. This wasn't the case with Maya. She had done the genetic testing, but it came out negative.
We've learned over time that 90% of what our predecessors called Dravet syndrome is explained by an SCN1A mutation. SCN1A is a gene, and it creates a kind of a protein. Your brain can't function normally without it.
The seizures are tough. There's no doubt that the seizures are tough, but everything else that comes along with this condition is, in my opinion, even tougher. I mean, the behavioral problems, mood swings, developmental delays, learning delays. I mean, Maya loves to learn. She's, you know, her entire life she tries. I mean, she tries harder than anyone I know, but it's a struggle, and it's also a huge struggle for the family watching your child go through this, but from an educational perspective, from a social perspective. You know, there's definitely social consequences. Also, you know, those are probably some of the biggest struggles in addition to the seizures.
We have a lot of different medications available, and about 70% of kids, no matter which medicine you choose from an effectiveness standpoint, will have good seizure control with that first medication. In the kids that don't respond to the first medication, there is a hope that they'll respond to the second one. So if the second medication works, then great, we're done, and we've taken care of 75 or 80% of kids, but there's still a huge chunk of kids that don't respond to the first or the second, and you're now on to your third. And by the time you're starting your third medication, we consider that to be intractable, meaning medication resistant or untreatable or difficult to treat. And it doesn't mean that we're giving up or that life can't get better or things like that, but it does mean that we need to be practical about where we are.
She's been in so many medications through her life. Some of the medications work great for maybe a year or two. Some of the medications had terrible side effects, like some of them made her really tired where she couldn't even function.
Others made the seizures worse, some made her temper, mood swings worse, and behavioral problems worse. So, you know, that's basically really what we dealt with the first 7-8 years of Maya's life.
When the medications don't work, and you're talking about the Plan B options, one of the biggest ones and the most promising ones is what we call epilepsy surgery. Traditionally, that's been doing, opening the skull and exposing the brain and taking part of the brain out. In order to do that, you need to have documented that the seizures all generate and come from one part of the brain, and that one part of the brain can be safely taken out without causing damage to a critical area, which would cause weakness or loss of speech or loss of vision or blindness. As long as those things can be done, surgery can be life-changing, and out of the Plan B options, it is the best one by a mile if the child is a candidate for surgery, because it can be so life-changing, and it really is the only thing that has the prospect of curing the epilepsy. And now we're doing something called focused ultrasound, which heats the brain using focused ultrasound waves, so it is literally bloodless surgery.
When she was 8 years old, the doctor recommended a brain resection surgery for her.
We were at the point that we needed to do something because her seizures were out of control. She didn't have a quality of life. She had so many seizures. So when the opportunity of the surgery came up, we were very scared, but we were grateful to have that opportunity because not everybody's a candidate for the surgeries.
She did the surgery. Ultimately, they took out an area of her brain where they thought the actual seizures were originating from. She recovered pretty well and came home, and actually she was seizure-free for about a year. It was a great year in our lives, and unfortunately after about a year the seizures kind of came back with vengeance.
And they came back in the other side of the brain, so there was no more surgery that could be done to help her. To be honest, it was very, very sad for her and for us to go through all of that and having this coming back. It was devastating.
After the surgery, when the seizures came back, her physician recommended that we see Dr. Miller, and Dr. Miller at the time was heading a new clinical trial at Nicklaus Children's Hospital that was actually a cannabidiol trial.
When you're talking about the Plan B options and investigational medications, there have been a handful of medicines that are brand new and are newly approved. One of those is called cannabidiol, which is abbreviated to CBD, and that just got FDA approved. In
the beginning, I think we've been through so many medications that we thought were gonna work that I think we were very skeptical in the beginning. Almost like we didn't want to talk about it because we didn't want to jinx it or something like that.
25% of kids in that trial had a 75% reduction in seizures.
So right after the 4 months ended and we were actually guaranteed to get the real medication, the seizures almost disappeared within a day or so. It was absolutely amazing.
Maya was one of the extreme responders who's nearly seizure-free, and that's just life-changing in a way that no parent can understand that hasn't dealt with really frequent seizures. So she's been doing tremendously well.
When we saw a complete reversal in her condition and saw the seizures continue to dissipate and eventually, almost disappear, it was, it's really indescribable how happy that my wife and I were.
It's been really wonderful to be able to see Maya get better and enjoy her life the way she should.
Every year it seems to be more and more promising with all of the medical advances.
I think the future, this coming decade and the decades after that will just be an explosion in, progress in treating brain disease, and are just incredibly exciting.
The future is not easy when you have special needs. It's not an easy world to live in.
As far as what's in store for Maya in the future, we really don't know as parents. We tried to stop guessing that, but she's definitely making great progress. She still has a number of issues to deal with and a lot of challenges, and it's not easy, and it's not going to be easy for her or for us, but we're optimistic that there's great things in store for Maya.